So the interview structure is behavioral based. The questions that are asked describe the approach of solving problems, depending on the job that you're looking for. If you're looking for accounting or you're looking for a manufacturing person, you're going to ask them questions to describe a problem that you may have in your business. So how would you solve this? If this came about, how would you, like, okay, Ron, he does the tin cans, okay? This line goes down. What's the first thing you do to solve it? And let them tell you about their experiences. They may not have done cans before, but if they're applying for a job in manufacturing, I'm sure they've done manufacturing. So it may not be exactly the same, but he's going to get a feel for how they think. So that's what you want to do. You want to ask questions and describe their approach to solving problems. Skill-based. These are the questions that are really designed so that you can uncover what their skill level is. And again, they may have a skill, but how deep does it go? You know, how much experience do you have in this? You know, they've had 3 jobs, but only one really relates to what you're looking for. So you want to dig into that. How long did you work there? What did you accomplish while you're there? What's some of your accomplishments? What were some of your, issues that you may have had? How did you go about dealing with those things? So these are all based on the skill that the person has and how well it fits into what you do. Topical questions are questions based on trends of industry or the business leaders in your industry. So you'll ask questions, for example, if you were hiring somebody for, let's say you were in publishing, okay? Well, you want to find out, what do they know about the publishing business? Well, number one, the publishing business is totally in upheaval because the publishing business is nowhere near what it was 5-10 years ago, because all the newspapers are going out of business because nobody wants to read the newspaper anymore. Everything is done online. So you're still publishing things, but the business has changed. What do you know about our industry? The other thing you want to know in here is, what do they know about your company? Okay? If somebody's coming to you for a job, they should have put the effort up front to find out about your company. And we all know it's pretty easy today to find out about pretty much anything. I mean, you ask Siri, she can tell you. But I mean, really, what you want to do is, if these people are serious about working for you, they should know. They should know what you do. They should know that, you've been in business for 12 years or 20 years or 25 years. They should know it's a family-owned business. It's a public company. They should know these things. And yes, sir.
Do you consider that to be true, top to bottom?
What?
They should know, research your company.
Yes.
Coming in to apply to be the factory floor janitor.
Well, I mean, again, you have to look at the position. I guess if you're looking for somebody at a janitorial level or just a really low-level hourly worker, probably not, maybe. But if you're looking for anybody that's actually going to be, that you're looking and putting an application out there and they're getting a resume and you're going through a true interview process, yes, they should know about your company. I mean, they could still be an hourly employee, but we strongly believe, no matter what level they are, they should know something. Of course, the higher you go up for the position, the more they should know. As a manager, you want them to know what we do, how we do it, why we do it, whatever. So you want to make sure, and those are the basic types of questions in the interview structure. Interview framework. Okay, we talked one-on-one. That's the basic interview framework, is you sitting down across from somebody to discuss the job and what you want and how you want it, etc. Another way to interview is what we call the panel interview. Now, the panel interview is usually done for 2 reasons. Number one, if you have a situation where several people have to interview somebody and they can never get together at one time, so you put them together as a panel. The other reason, and usually more, is to see how the interviewee can multitask. Because in a panel interview, which is totally different than a one-on-one, this guy's going to ask a question, and she's going to ask a question, and she's going to ask a question. Boom, boom, boom. And it puts the person under a little bit of a stress. You want to see how they react. You want to see how they can handle multiple things coming at them at a time. So that's generally why you use a panel interview. When we're telling someone how to interview, what we tell them and what you should look for is, if you're ever going to do this type of an interview, is that even if they're sending multiple questions, they politely say, well, can I answer your question first, and then I'll move on to the next question. because you want to answer the questions completely. You want complete answers, but you want to see how they handle it. If they just start going here and here and here and don't answer any questions, they're probably not good at multitasking. But if they guide you a little bit to answer your questions, those are the people you're going to want to look seriously at. The parade interview. The parade interview is kind of like what I talked about with my son when he went through all the interview process. Part of what he has to do is coding for the computer. So what they would do is he would go into a room, they'd give him a whiteboard, they'd have a problem up on the board, there'd be a person in the room and they'd say, okay, solve that problem. He would go up and he would start doing whatever he's doing, and at the same time the guy would be talking to him, asking him about this, asking him about that, whether it be about the problem or himself or a school or whatever, to see how he reacts. As soon as they say, okay, you get 20 minutes to do this. Okay, his 20 minutes are up. He leaves that room. They parade him off to the next room. He does the same thing again with another person. They do that again. And at the end, he went into a room and they sat down and had a conversation with one person. But that's a parade interview. You go, it's one-on-one, but you go from one to the other to the other. Okay? Now what they were trying to do was, not only did they want to see could he do the problem, but how did he interact while he was doing it? And one or two of those problems didn't have an answer. So how did he react when he couldn't figure it out? Because there was no right answer. So, and again, this kid's a sophomore in college. This isn't like somebody you're looking to be work at NASA, okay? So, I mean, but that's the type of interview that you're looking for. Then there's the stress interview. And here you see our guy going into IKEA. He walks in, all the chairs on the floor. The guy says, make a chair and take a seat. I don't know if you guys have put together this stuff, but it's not that easy. And if you notice one thing here, there's no instructions. So what you're trying to do here is, I'll use a wacky example. You're going in to be an air traffic controller. There's a lot of stress in that job. So they're going to want to know, can you handle the stress? It's going to be a little more difficult than that, but you're going to put that person under a specific amount of stress to see how they handle it. So that's the stress type of interview. It's not one that's used a lot, especially not in smaller businesses, but there's stress to every job. So it's not, that out of the realm. But like I said, this is a little over the top. I did have another one where a girl young woman went in to interview. The interviewer, when she came into the room, he had his back to her and his feet were up on the credenza. And he just sat there, never said a word. He wanted to see how she would react. Well, that's pretty cold, The person's coming in, they're pretty nervous to begin with to do that. But that was their interview style. I wouldn't recommend that, by the way, but that was their style. Okay, interview questions. You're going to have to give me, I have to put my glasses on because Chris won't let me have any light up here. So, okay, the most common interview question that you'll have is, tell me about yourself. Everybody asks that question when they have an interview. Tell me about yourself. And the key there is once they start to tell you about themselves, you want to delve into that. You can find a lot of information on stuff that you technically can't ask because just by talking back and forth, they'll give you a lot of information. Where they live and if they're married and all these questions that you can't ask anymore. So tell me about yourself is a very typical question. Why are you interested in our company? Which is more important, completing a job on time or doing it right? What is it about the company you worked for last that you didn't agree with? And describe a company environment that's best suited for you. Those are some typical type questions that you can ask. And I'm going to pass all these out so you'll have some. There's like 40 of these. And you can go online. You can go a number of places to find this information out. But this is what we use in our book when we're training people to interview. These are the most important, I think. And these are the behavioral questions. And there's about 60 of these that I have. And I'm obviously not going to read them all. I'll give you a couple of examples. Is what specific goals, including related to your occupation, have you established in your life? What do you think it takes to be successful in a career? What motivates you to put forth the greatest effort? And then they tell you what motivates them, and then you delve into that. Well, why is this or why is that? You always have to have in the back of your mind other things you can ask. The other ones that are common is what do you expect to be doing in 5 years? Tell me about a major problem you've handled recently. Describe the characteristics of a successful manager. There's a lot of types of behavioral questions that you can use. And again, going back way to the beginning, conversational, behavioral. Those are the 2 points you got to remember.